Welcome everyone to Breathe in Joy and Breathe Out Holiday Stress. What better ambition to have during the holiday season and anytime? Today we're going to explore some yogic breathing practices that will enhance your life in many ways. They'll help you de-stress at any time. They'll help you combat cloudiness in the brain, depression, all kinds of things. But most of all, they'll bring joy to you in the long run. So first thing that you're going to want to start with is find yourself a nice quiet place to begin today's practice. You may find it beneficial to watch it all the way through and then come back and practice. So people will have a different approach to their learning skills than we as adults do. And some people learn by doing with, some people learn by observing, and some people learn by doing both at the same time. So whatever works for you today. So find that quiet space within your house. If you have a yoga mat, great. But what you really need is the ability to take a blanket, fold it over, or a pillow, and fold it over, and have a seat on that so that it raises your hips up a little higher for some of the breaths that we're going to use today. And then also, you might even want a shawl or something to put over your shoulders, maybe a sweater, that kind of thing, to help keep the warmth in to your body as you're going through these practices so that you can really focus on your breath today. Now, when have you really taken the time to just take a minute and really, other than in a yoga class, but really focus on your breath? The rise and fall of your breath and how it flows subtly through your body. You know, we don't take the time sometimes to even observe that we have two pairs of socks on the same color. So oftentimes we just don't take the time to really observe how our breath really affects our life in every way. It's our constant companion. The ancient yogis believed that we had a finite number of breaths within our lifetime. Over 7 million breaths if you live to be about 80 years old. So therefore, if you thought you had a finite number of breaths that you can take, wouldn't you want them to be the best that you possibly could execute to benefit your life? So that's why we're here today, to practice 6 different breathing techniques that you'll be able to use at any given time, whether it's in a yoga practice or whether it's just in your home in a quiet place when you have time to dedicate to focus on your breath. The benefits that you will reap from this will be amazing and will totally affect your reaction to things as well. I'm sure you've heard the thing about the little adage about take a deep breath and then decide what you're going to do. Well, truly that came from yoga. So today, as we begin, I'm Debbie Nolan with Henrico Recreation and Parks. I'm so happy you joined us today. And
Anna Trong.
And so we're excited today to share some of these breathing techniques with you. So as we get ready to start, the other element that I want to talk about is prana or life force. In yoga, breathing practices are called pranayama. Prana is your life force. It's the oxygen that flows, the energy within the world throughout us and throughout the planet, whether it's the sun, the energy of the sun, or the coolness of the moon, are just being grounded to the earth as we walk. So prana is life force. So the breath is life. And so as we get ready to begin our practice today, keeping that broad, big picture in mind that your breath is shared throughout the world. It's part of the world. You are a part of the world. So let us start. Comfortable clothes, your quiet area, yoga mat if you have one. If not, no worries. But go ahead and find a pillow that you can sit on to raise your hips. So we'll demonstrate different positions. And the first breath we're going to start with is full, complete breath. So Anna is going to demonstrate lying down, and I will be sitting up. So like I mentioned, you can put the pillow underneath your hips to elevate your hips a little bit, then come into a cross-leg position, easy cross-leg position, or you can stretch your legs out, just whatever's most comfortable for you. You can keep that there or no, just, you don't really need it right now. So full complete breath. is exactly what it sounds like. So if you're in a seated position, just place the backs of your wrists on your knees. Good. And if you're in a lying down position, you can have your knees bent or you can be extended all the way out. So it's whichever's more comfortable for you. Now, if you're seated, put the backs of your wrists on your knees. And if you're lying down, take your hands and spread them wide and place one on your chest and one on your belly area. Now, you can also put both hands, one on each side of your rib cage, so either one. So as we start, spread your fingers wide. It always helps if we shut our eyes or close them halfway and focus on your breath first. So as we begin our practice today, let's first just leave outside the door, the threshold of this room, anything that happened earlier today and things that might happen in the future. And notice how just focusing on your breath really brings you right into the present, right into this moment. As you're breathing, let your breath be a natural breath. A natural breath is just one that you're not trying to make longer or shorter. It is the length that it is today. So noticing the subtleties of the breath flowing through your body as you inhale and exhale. As we breathe, notice how this body itself responds to the breath on the inhale by rising and on the exhale by falling. And you can feel the subtleties of the breath as it moves through the body. And as you inhale and exhale, perhaps your mind is still really active. So to acknowledge all of that busyness in your mind, maybe you focus on one of those thoughts on the inhale. And then when you exhale, just allow yourself to let that go. So as you work your way through each of those thoughts in your mind, you start to quiet. So in a full, complete breath or a natural breath, we're just being observant of the rise and fall of the breath and of the play of the breath flowing through your body. And it flows naturally into breath awareness. So as the body starts to calm down and the mind starts to calm down, it creates space for us to be able to be aware of how the breath feels as it moves through our body. Now, in each of these practices, you might spend different lengths of time depending on how your day has been. Now, it may take you longer to come into a full, complete breath because maybe there's been a lot of activity going on in your life. So the first thing, finding that natural breath, allows us to start to calm. Just the act of breathing brings us into now and allows us to start to calm the mind, and it allows us to start to relax the body. So once we feel that start to happen, oftentimes we can move into breath awareness. So it's also called repetitive breathing as well. So in this breath technique, perhaps we even add a mantra or a phrase that helps us really calm even more. Perhaps it's an affirmation that allows us to help to move away some of that holiday stress, or maybe it's something else that might be on your mind that you just can't let go of. Maybe you had a bad experience when you went out during the day, and you just can't let go of it. So in this breath, perhaps on the inhale, I am strong. And then on the exhale, I can always roll with the punches in a positive way. And these are affirmations that you just choose for yourself because they'll bubble to the surface based on how your day has been. Perhaps it's, I am happy. I am grateful for my friends. I am grateful for my family. I am grateful for my community. So you can start with the I and even move it outward into your community as well. So I am, we are. So different types of aphorisms, different types of encouraging positive viewpoints. So that helps retune our brain. Maybe that day you want to focus on positivity. Maybe that day, calm. I am calm, even when faced with an unpleasant situation. I will remain calm. So an I am statement, a we are statement, any of those that speak to you in that moment in time, that present moment, right then. But the affirmation is on the inhale, and on the exhale, you let go of the debris that goes along with why that aphorism, that statement spoke to you. So very unique. It depends on each person, as all of these breath practices do. So now you're probably very in tune with the rise and fall of your breath. And you start to feel that retuning of your thought processes. So the breath itself, the breathing in, the prana, the life force, the oxygen, rejuvenates, calms, and allows us to start to flip the switch in the other direction. It's a proven fact that when we get stressed, we breathe through the upper part of our chest, right under the collarbones. We never breathe deeply. It's very shallow breathing, almost panting when people get stressed out over anything. And if you noticed, you'll grit your jaw, clench your teeth. You'll see those muscles in people's jaws start to bulge. And so here, in this next breath, 3-part breath, this allows you to relax the face as well, relax the muscles in the face, relax your jaw. And for now, you're still breathing through the nose. You want nostril breath as much as possible in any of these breathing practices. But always, if you have a cold, if you're stuffy, part your lips barely and breathe. It's more beneficial to have the breathing practice than to not do it. So in 3-part breath, we start to play with the rhythm of the breath itself. Now in 3-part breath, we're working towards expanding your lung capacity. So now you're aware of the flow of the breath in through the nose, down the back of the throat, under the collarbones, and all the way down to the base of your lungs. And then on the exhale, the same thing, base of lungs, rib cage, collarbones, and back out through the back of the throat and the nose. So if you visualize that pathway in your mind, and you see the breath flowing in and feel the breath flowing in that way, Now let's play a little bit with the rhythm of your breath. So as you inhale and exhale, there'll actually be 3 pauses on the inhale and 3 pauses on the exhale. Now, the first few times you may do this, it may feel a little uncomfortable. If you've ever been in the hospital and had an operation, they'll give you an apparatus that you breathe in to make sure that you don't get your lung capacity is not affected by any of the drugs and things that you may have had as part of the surgery. This is a little bit like that, because in that you're blowing out to make the little lever rise up and down. Now here you want to think about, I'm going to take 3 pauses in these breaths on the inhale and the exhale. So now that we're in breath awareness and you're aware of how you feel, if you're in a seated position and you need to change your legs, now you would just shift the legs, put a different leg in front. Good, we tend to have a dominant leg we start with in front. So you want to always come into a position where you may have a little bit of physical distraction, but for the most part, you're very attuned to what your breath is doing. So in 3-part breath, let's think about the inhales and exhales. So let's start with a really, really big inhale, and then an equal exhale. Let's do that 2 more times, and then we'll start with the 3 pauses. So inhaling in and exhaling out. And it might make a little noise, that's okay, but use your nose. Inhaling in and exhaling out. Now let's think about the 3 pauses. So inhale in, 1 and 2 and 3. Exhale out. And 2 and 3. Now continuing to breathe with your 3 pauses. It may not equal mine, but flow with your breath. So remember, the object is to expand your rib cage. So don't be afraid. Imagine you're going to dive in the pool and you need to draw in as much air as you can. You need that last little bit in that 3rd inhale or exhale. So here we go. So as you continue to breathe, always keep in mind that you're not going to go from point A to point B immediately. So start with little increases. Do make the pauses as equal as you can. So whether it's on the inhale or the exhale. So we continue with 3 breaths. Over time, your capacity will improve. Feel free to always straighten your legs out if you need to. No worries there. Continuing to breathe. Here you can really feel the expansion of the breath as the torso opens to the sky, opens, and creates space and opportunity for growth. Everybody wants to improve their lung capacity. We think of it most frequently through cardio exercise. This breath practice also helps you in the same way. Will it help you in your running? Will it help you in your cycling? Yes. Will it help you as you walk? Yes. Will it help you as you do your daily chores? Yes. Will it help you in yoga? Definitely. So 3-part breath. So each of these practices, anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes or even longer if it's speaking to you today. Now another breath variation of three-part breath is also, I call it a breath pause. So we inhale in completely and pause at the top. So if you're a numbers person on a like 1 to 10, perhaps you inhale in for 5 and hold your breath for 3, or retain. This is breath retention. So inhale in. This is your bonus breath today. So inhale in, pause, exhale out, pause, inhale in. So automatically you see your breath capacity has enlarged in the pause at the top and the pause at the bottom. This is a very calming breath, because when we get stressed or concerned or upset, we tend to hold our breath. So here, this gets you back in control of your breath, inhaling in and pausing. Collect, control, connect with yourself again, and then exhale out the tension. And pause and let it float away. Same thing again. Inhale in, pause, and then exhale out. Pause. So it's a very measured breath. Very calming, just in the nature of the pauses. Just like three-part breath increases your capacity, this naturally flows right into it. Breath retention. So while we're in these breaths, the mind is always focused on the flow of the breath. So we always want to, in yoga, whether it's with breathing practices or with the physical practices, the asana, pranayama, asanas, together hand in hand, working to create calm and quiet and purpose in the body. So these first practices that we've just done are really, really, really good leading into your physical practice or your asana practice. But also, it gives you a chance to be able to just stop at any point. You can sit in your office chair. If you're working from home, you can do that. If you're at work, pause. Find your three-part breath, or just practice that breath awareness. Sit right there, feet flat on the floor, in your chair, breathing. So the next breath that we're going to flow to, I'm going to have Anna Jonas sitting up now when you're ready. Now when you come out of your breathing practices, especially if you've been down for a few moments like that, pause, give yourself a moment. Since we're moving through several different types, here I would always say turn to your side, pause there just like you're in your bed at home. Allow things to come back to normal breathing pattern for you, and then help yourself up to a seated position. Now because we're about half through our different practices, what we're going to do is speed that up a little bit. So when you're ready, Anna, let yourself come back to reality slowly, and then turn to one side. Good, pause there for a moment. Good, and then use your top hand to help yourself up to seated position. So as she joins us, she might want to use her folded pillow to sit on if you have a pillow at home. We just used bed pillows. Good, you may have a special pillow for that at home. Good, this just gets your hips up a little bit higher than your knees and puts you in a good position to sit for long periods of time. Now yoga originally was created 5,000 to 7,000 years ago to help monks prepare themselves to sit in meditation for long periods of time. So all of these breathing practices of pranayama were developed that far back in time and have withstood, of course, the stand of time. So 7,000 years ago, they were using these breath practices to enhance their quality of life and to create calmness and serenity for them to move into a meditative practice. So these breath practices can also not just accompany your physical asana practice, what we think of as yoga, or meditating, either one. So once you've gotten yourself into this calm state, then we're much more open to just what comes to us in a meditative state. And there's many types of meditation. We'll end with one in a few moments. So our next breath is one that many, many people are very familiar with in yoga because of the popularity of Ashtanga yoga, power yoga, vinyasa yoga, any of the flow type yogas in particular, which is Ujjayi breathing. And Ujjayi breathing, again, it accompanies the physical practice, but also you can use it in a seated meditative practice as well. It builds energy. So if you're maybe down a little bit, maybe it's been cloudy and dark for a period of time, it allows us to create energy, to build energy and positivity. Sometimes it's called victorious breath because it's that victory lifting upward in the breath. It accompanies so often the Sun Salutation series in particular, and also it's called ocean breath as well. Now in Ujjayi breathing, it's a muscular definition. It's the same type of muscular activity that you would do if you held a mirror up and you were going to on that mirror to fog it. So that same, if you're not familiar with it, it's that same technique. So, but your lips are closed, so it comes out, you're breathing in and out. So it makes a noise. Now, does that noise need to sound like a freight train? No. But it will make a noise. Now, some people who become very adept at this have a really deep, loud noise. So, but the volume is not as important as the technique itself in breathing. So don't worry about it if it's not as loud as your neighbor in a class. So the big thing here is you put the lips together again, and you're inhaling in, and then you press the tongue to the top of the mouth and think about that exhalation that fogs the mirror. So you inhale in and then out. So you're actually directing the breath straight up into your nose, bypassing your mouth. So that's the tongue up in the roof of your mouth. So inhaling in. And as you fall into the rhythm of the breath, you can start to hear the waves, the ocean, as the breath comes in and goes back out to sea. I also think of this breath as flowing in and going all the way down. So it's a full action through your torso breathing. So think of your shoulder blades dropping down a little bit and back so that you feel more expansive through the front of your chest, under the collarbones, under the sternum, and the ribs moving as well. So the muscles in between each ribs are called intercostal muscles. They help expand and contract as your diaphragm flows up and down. So here, think of when you're at the ocean and the intercoastal waterway that helps people travel to different parts of the coastline. So here, your breath, the ribs opening and closing, helps it flow throughout your body through those intercostal breathways. So we inhale in. I find Ujjayi very energizing, and I think you will too. It can be a very powerful breath as you move from pose to pose or seated in meditation as well. You can feel the flow of oxygen as it starts to flow in. It almost tingles on the surface of the skin. And as you get used to the flow of the breath and your interpretation of the rhythm of the breath, your tongue will relax and the breath will flow and the face will relax as well. So you'll start to feel that relaxation sensation in each of these breaths as you start to develop your rhythm in each of them. So if you think of a Ujjayi breathing in connection with the Sun Salutation series, originally that series was done early in the morning to greet the rise of the sun. So that energizing breath to greet the sun heat energy. So it's a heated breath, a warming breath to start your day. You can actually feel it start to affect your body all over when you're seated in more of a meditative practice rather than the physical practice, because you can actually feel it start to tingle in the skin surfaces as well. Especially when you start to relax into the breath itself. So an energizing breath when you're feeling dark day, rainy day, open up to the sun, bring the sun into you. And visualize as you're breathing the ocean waves coming in and flowing out, that ocean of your breath, the prana flowing in and out. And then as we allow the breath to flow back to normal, so back to your natural breath, usually as we flow out of the practice itself, you can actually feel the energy flowing through your body. Maybe you feel a little tingly. Maybe you feel more relaxed. All of those are great side effects, of course. Now another form of yoga breath, or pranayama, that we use is called cooling breath. Now, cooling breath is one, maybe you got hot under the collar and you need to cool down that way. Maybe it's just hot outside and you come in and you need to cool down because you feel internally hot. Maybe you got warm carrying all those packages in from your car, from your shopping trip. So you want to have a cooling breath now to settle back down again, whether it's mentally or physically. So this practice with cooling breath also is affected by genetics. How, you say, is that? Well, you take your tongue and you create a U shape out of it, or a tube shape. So some people do this better than others. Sometimes you get a U shape, sometimes you get a circle. So imagine you're going to breathe through your tongue in that circle shape, just like it's a straw. So in this case, you're breathing through your mouth. So focus on drawing air in through your tongue and back out through your tongue. So what does it look like? So you curl your tongue in that U shape and breathe through it. So once you get the tongue in place, and you do protrude it out a little bit, Maybe you've seen your dog, stick their tongue out to pant. This is kind of similar, only you make that tube shape with your tongue. So on this one, you have measured breath. What does that mean? Just equal inhale, equal exhale, and focus on the coolness of the breath coming in and the heated breath flowing back out until you feel the balance between the two. Then you know it's worked because it's helped cool you down. So again, all of these practices, we're demonstrating seated. You can do this lying down as well. Good. Ujjayi is usually active. These others are all generally seated. So let's find our cooling breath. Good. Here we go. Good, and as you continue to breathe, just allow the mind to observe your breath as it flows in and out in all of these practices, but particularly here. So you have that awareness of the sensation of the coolness of the breath coming in and flowing out a little bit more heated until you find that balance between the inhale and the exhale. So as you feel the cooling breath start to take effect, and you may need to draw your tongue in for a moment and then come back out again because it is drying on your tongue. Good, and then just breathe. Again, finding breath awareness, so just being aware, always coming back to your natural breath after the practice itself. So I like to think when I'm inhaling in through my tongue like that, I think of a really cold winter day where the air is kind of nippy. And so when you draw it in, it's like drawing in a snowflake. And exhaling away the heat that melts the snowman. Again, very calming, very cooling. A very quiet breath. It makes a bit of noise, but it's still a quiet, calm, more of a serene breath. Very nice. And this brings us to our last breath technique that we're going to share today. Now, are there many, many more? Yes, many, many more. But these are ones that you can utilize every day. Really it's highly beneficial if you take just a short 15-minute time period out of your day and just practice, whether it's using a repetitive breath awareness. If you need a positivity charge, I am focused, I am strong, I can be anything I want to be. Or if you need that positivity that day, if you want to bring the sense of the expanse of the ocean in with your Ujjayi breath, or your cooling breath if you got hot under the collar or temperature-wise. So our last breath, many people are familiar with in yoga. It's called alternate nostril breathing, or Nadi Shoshone. It's done several different ways, but the big thing with this breath is you're breathing through the opposite sides of the nose one at a time. So you're really focusing on breathing through one nostril at a time. Now, why is that, would you think? When yoga tradition, we have energy centers that run through our body. There's the main channel that runs down your spine called the Sushumna. And then if you visualize the medical calculus with the snakes intertwined around the staff, if you heard of Kundalini rising or heat rising, from Muladhara, your root chakra, the yogic tradition has two different energy systems that cross through your chakras coming to the top of the crown of your head. Okay, so those energy, the Ida and the Pingala, go from one side right and the other side left, and they cross at each chakra. So that is Cliff Notes chakra. But the object is that one side of your body is cooling, governed by the moon in yoga tradition, calm, serene, night. Other side governed by the sun and heat and light. And so it's the balance of those two traveling through, those two energies traveling through your spine, through the chakras. So when we alternate the breathing, what we're doing is balancing those two natures in yoga tradition through the act of breathing through one nostril and then the other. Now there's a couple different ways you can do your hand position. Some people like to take two fingers, place them on your forehead, your first two fingers, like your peace fingers, put them on your forehead. You're going to use your thumb, and I'm using my right hand, so I'm opposite from you. So we're using our right hand. It'll be opposite from you in the screen. So thumb on the nose, fingers on the forehead, and then you can use your ring finger. I end up sticking my pinky up because it just doesn't stay in control. So, but you can also just use your middle finger and your thumb. Either way works. Some people find if you put your fingers right here that it steadies it a little bit more for you as you move your fingers back and forth. So just try that first. Take your thumb and close one nostril, and then open it and put your ring finger on the opposite side. Close the nostril. Good. So now just try thumb and ring finger. So thumb and ring finger. So you may find that that's more comfortable for you. You see it both ways. The traditional way is fingertips on the forehead, and that's because we have our sixth chakra right there. You've heard of people talk about the third eye. The third eye in yoga tradition is that chakra of awareness and intuition. So as we stimulate that chakra, your third eye, we're looking inward as we breathe. So you're balancing all of these natures of the body at the same time you're breathing. Now, not only is it different hand position, but sometimes different breathing. In other words, we might breathe in and out on one side, or we breathe in on one side, out on the other side. So what we're going to do today is breathe in on one side and close the nostril, and then exhale out on the opposite side, close the nostril. And so we'll go back and forth with that. So find your spot, get comfortable, change your leg position if you need to. Good, you're also training yourself to sit, to meditate for long periods of time, just like those monks did. So just relaxing first and becoming grounded as we sit in Muladhara and as we breathe in and out. Use the hand that works best for you. If you're left-handed, use your left hand. So the main thing is from right to left. The right side is considered the heated side. The left side is considered the lunar side. So we go back and forth. But you're balancing. So, all right. So either way you care to do it, fingertips here. We're going to start. Now remember, your breath might be a little shorter or longer. The big thing is close off the nostrils. So we put our fingers in place. Let's close the right nostril. Inhale in through your left. Take your ring finger, close the left. Exhale out through your right. And then close. Good. Inhale right. Now this time close the right and breathe in and out on the left. Close the left, same thing on the right. Close. Close. Now go back to inhale in, close, exhale out. Close, close, close. Good, let's breathe 3 more times. Now just let your hand come down and come back to natural breath. Now as your breath comes back to natural breath, bring both hands together in front of your body and rub them together really fast. Really fast. So you can feel energy start to build up in between your hands from the friction. And then pause and just open your hands just a little bit apart so they all feel tingly. You can feel that energy right there. And do it again, really fast, get it warmer. Good. Then place one hand on both sides of your nose, fingertips up, and just breathe normal. Natural breath. Good, and then just gently floating your hands down to your knees again. Beautiful. And then slowly opening your eyes. Thank you so much for joining us today for Breathe In Joy and Breathe Out Stress, holiday or life. If you've enjoyed this practice, please go and look at and become a member of Henrico Recreation and Parks YouTube channel. Check in with our webpage, check in with our Facebook page, and really find a plethora of enjoyable things to do year-round. When you go there, you'll be able to find any breathing practice, any yoga practice to accompany your breathing practice that you'd like to use to follow your breathing practice or to enhance your breathing as well. So be sure and join, subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you hit the little bell at the top, every time something new is added, you'll get an email. So if you joined us today, we appreciate you joining us, but also have a blessed and happy Thanksgiving, Christmas, however you celebrate, Kajwan, all of those celebrations that bring joy to our life. So use the breath and stay calm. Thank you for letting me lead your practice today. Namaste.